into the laser bridge room of Turtle Rock, but I don't know about these other ones that you were talking about.
There's a new clip that lets you get to Ice Palace without Mirror or Titan's Mitts as long as you have a red potion. Wow.
And if you have a Moon Pearl, which we have to start in Link's house.
That is as friendly as it gets.
All right, and we got French vanilla pendants at Desert Palace in Hera, and we have a crystal at Eastern Palace. We got $5 on the floating island, or floating island, Lake Kylie Island, so won't be clipping to go get that.
It is interesting how the starting meta has evolved during this tournament. It seems like everyone's opening with Sahasra lately.
Well, it certainly seemed like there were enough races where Sahasrahla and Eastern Palace got orphaned that it's interesting that, to your point, that everyone's basically compensated for it by now. Especially when you get the water toes in Sahasrahla's closet.
It's also interesting to note that you could have avoided a Darkworld map check altogether by talking to Sahasrahla. If you don't want to know where the 5/6s are, of course.
Well, and the 5/6 crystals, but with that Moon Pearl, once you get the mirror, you can basically clip your way into the Fat Fairy. So the thing is, the 5/6 crystals would be irrelevant at that point.
That is correct, although you do not need the pearl for that.
So both runners this far have been pretty even. Bush crabs are given single hearts, and the tree poles are $20. Although it must have been a different tier, because I don't know, forgot which one took damage, but that's why they were different tree poles for both of them.
I think maybe both of them did before the pull. No, I think it may have been just Gem.
And what a tease. We got the mushroom on the lumberjack ledge.
That's gonna be on the back of their minds for a long while.
So people in chat pointing out that both of our runners have got the boots to start. That is pretty much to try to make this race as fair as possible, because otherwise, with the boots clips, if you don't have the boots clips available, it's a lot of like 1 pixel clips and whatnot that pretty much, it's pun intended, a race to the boots with these type of seeds.
Yep, you would need to perform 8 consecutive 1-frame movements in order to get to a downwards or upwards teleport position. I think upwards may actually be more, just because of the intricacies. No, sorry, that's the difference between a right side and left side ledge. But yes, that would be a lot of select buffering. If you're not good at advancing frames, you'd have to reset a lot of times.
All right, we got a fighter sword and blind hut, as well as $70, pack of bombs, and let's see what the last chest has. We've got $20.
Now the sword or the hook shot are very good early tools because they allow you to perform spin speed clips. So you know from minor glitches, or no major glitches modes, that spin speed gives you super speed if used on a ladder. But there's major glitch applications for that, as you can use a spin speed state to get through diagonal joints.
All right, other than a swag net, didn't really find much in the well.
And with Pearl in hand, Swagnet loses a lot of value.
But, to your point about the sword, I mean, there was one... It's interesting with as I've been watching Overworld glitches and commentating these seeds, ChristosOwen decided to use that B-Torp to get $100 from his $100 back from the bottle vendor. But, you know, so many of these seeds, I've seen it like within 15 minutes, the runners have Tempered Sword, and then you see the one seed where it's like almost an hour before they get a sword, and how different Overworld glitches looks without a sword for so long.
There's a whole lot of things that suddenly become a lot more difficult if you don't have access to one. For example, if you look at Heraclip, which is something that you generally want to do about 6 times in a seed because it's that useful. Well, if you don't have a sword, the most straightforward way that you would do it is you try to right-side clip through that joint while the cabbages are falling in your head. It's not a fun experience.
No, not at all. Alright, so Gem decided to YOLO the race game only for a piece of heart, so now we've got sync again on both of our runners, as both of them are going to be, I imagine, making their way into Desert Palace. So we can check the front, but without a fire source, we won't be able to go finish Lameless. But with this being a pendant, we may not need to.
So Gem opted to go for a quicker clip into Desert Palace, which involves a single upwards teleport. Upwards teleports happen, I don't believe we talked about this yet, when you clip 8 pixels into a cliff and then hold a down right or down left, depending on what type of cliff you're on. Then you'll be transported half a screen upwards, no matter what obstacles actually stand in your way. For example, Gem landed on a cliff and then just decided to jump off of it and landed on another cliff. The game's weird. The same concept can be applied to teleport downwards half a screen. In that case, you clip in 9 pixels. Usually you don't count, you just look for a visual cue. So, in the meantime, Gem picked up a Master Sword from the right side of Desert, so this is going to be one of those seeds you mentioned where Tempered Sword is probably available 15 minutes in.
As ChristosOwen picks that up, so we got the big chest left in Desert. That'll probably be the last check we do here. The runners will probably jump out and check Aeginus Cave, probably clip into South Grove Cave, and then we'll see where they go from here.
Yep, a lot of racers have recently taken a liking to checking Cave 45 or South Grove Cave first, and then finishing in Aeginus, saving quitting out to actually avoid having to walk out through 3 screen transitions. And this is what we mentioned when we said spin speed clips. So Gem was in a spin speed state, which allowed him to get through this diagonal joint. And since it's only too high, he actually hops on top of the cliff there.
Yeah, and so many times I've seen the runners actually like take the time and work their way with the boots clip to get through. And as you saw with both of them, it was just so much easier because they essentially just immediately hopped right up there to get to South Grove. And we got Blue Mail in said South Grove Cave, and now we're going to see what's in Aeginus Cave. Just a whole lot of Zora money.
It's precisely enough for Zora. Oh no, Gem had a little less than 200, so he'll have to find a big 20, but that's not necessarily hard to find.
Hopefully not. I mean, we know there's $5 on the Lake Hylia Island, so if you're really desperate for cash, you could clip to that. But there's a big 20 in the dam, so we've got Zora money on both sides.
I imagine they can't be too happy about the flippers right now, because that'll make water walking a lot worse. Since there's shallow water all around the whirlpool that takes you to the Zora area, you actually stop water walking.
Alright. Sword beams on those mini Trolldorms make them very easy. Got a red meringue, a bottle of blue potion, and a bunch of bombs in mini Trolldorm Cave.
A bottle of blue goo is actually quite a nice find. That can be used as a fake flute even in the Dark World. I'm interested to see if either of them opt to do that.
So Gem's gonna check Ice Rock Cave. Christos breaks off and heads for the Waterfall of Wishing. And it's just bombs in Ice Rock Cave, so that if Christos never goes back for Ice Rod, that may be a slight advantage in his favor.
On the other hand, if he has trouble finding that one last item, it's going to be in the back of his head for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's still way too early to know for certain, but... Alright. Zora Ledge, just a big 20. But, excuse me. There once was a fish named Zora who gives you flippers in vanilla. In Rando, he sucks for $500. We did this stupid trek for a hammer. Wow, that didn't suck.
Yep, that actually was worth the 500 rupees. Considering Christos didn't get a glove, and he spawned at Sanctuary, he's most likely going to go up on Death Mountain using a clip that we call Death Mountain Ascent.
Yeah, you're gonna set up a... Oh, sorry, didn't mean to step on you there, Balame.
He's doing the classic variety, which will teleport him upwards. He'll grab the screen, and then he'll just hop on down on the right side. Now, he has to correct his camera, or otherwise he gets into a hard lock by going down, and now he suddenly has sprite interactivity, and he just walks into a multi-entrance cave, such as the Old Man Rescue Cave, and his camera will be fixed when he leaves.
Now, it should be noted in Overworld glitches that some of the minor glitches and sequence breaks that are in allowed in the vanilla randomizer, like fake flippering, water walking, super bunny, those are actually in logic in the Overworld glitches logic. Stuff like dark rooms to get that 5-bomb upgrade from the old man, that is still out of logic.
Yep. The Overworld glitches logic accounts for all the minor glitches except dark rooms, bomb jumps, and boots water walking due to an oversight in B28. And for Super Bunny glitches, major glitch varieties of getting Super Bunny are not required but allowed.
All right, we got the big key, and we found the silver arrows in Hera thus far, so... We'll see if they find the second item before Trolldorm, and if so, what do they elect to do? Actually, Gem, as I'm saying that, Gem said, well, I've already had enough with those silver arrows, and nopes out. And bow on Spectacle Rock!
That's quite the starter kit right there.
I would certainly call that a starter kit for the Archer class. You also have 10 arrows inside of Spectacle Rock if you were desperate for arrows. Alright, but Christos is going to go ahead and take on Trolldorm. Gem is going to clip his way over to the east portion of Death Mountain.
Yep, for this one you perform a downwards teleport and then you struggle your way up to the cliff by doing half circle movements. And then you take this very convenient land bridge that's just there for some reason and jump off.
Alright, second item in Hera was a piece of heart. So ChristosOwen gets the pendant.
Gem meanwhile making very quick work of that spiral cave. There are no walks of shame in Overworld glitches.
No, there are not.
Christos opting to take the less glitchy way over to East Death Mountain, but that also means he'll be getting his bow a bit later.
See if he remembers to head back over there. Alright, so we got a heart container, a bloomerang to start in Paradox Cave.
The thing about Spectacle Rock is it's really, really hard to miss the top of it because you're doing a whole lot of Heraclips.
And a whole lot of love in the top of Spectacle Rock. Spectacle Rock, Paradox Cave. Duh.
And a whole lot of big 20s.
Now, Gem deciding to keep going. I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to clip his way up to the Turtle Rock portal, see what medallion we need for Turtle Rock, and probably check Super Bunny and maybe the first chest in Hookshot Cave.
This is a fairly convenient way to get into the Darkhold on this side with only hammer. It looks like... Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Balamay. Ice Palace is the other is the green pendant, and then I saw Pod was one of the 5-6 crystals, but again, we should be able to clip into Fat Fairy without needing the 5-6 crystals.
Unless the mirror is in there.
This is true.
Christos picking up a bush while he's wrapped, so now he cannot actually use an item or throw that bush, so he has to enter Spike Cave to get rid of it. So Christos did Heraclip and then entered the Dark World without resetting his camera, and he looks like he's heading into Ganon's tower.
He still has not picked up that bow from Spectacle Rock.
But to be fair, this time around he didn't see it.
Right, but like if something crazy were to happen, like, hey, first check the big key, and then hook shot, you find the hook shot, you could run the Gem could run the gauntlet right now where Christos would have to come back.
You're absolutely right about that. This could be really bad for Christos. And on that note, he does have the ability, using bomb chunks, to get to Ice Almost. So he'll have a much less efficient Ice Almost fight than Gem will.
Both runners are into Ganon's tower. Now, without the hook shot, everything beyond the double firebar room, including the Stalfos room they're bomb jumping into, is out of logic. Or, logically, you would need the hook shot to get to it. But to your point, with bomb jumps, they'll be able to do all of left side GT. We're still going to need Canis Samaria just to get over to the right side, and logically you need the fire rod, but you could do it with the lamp and bomb jumps. Chad also reminding me that you can't do the gauntlet without a fire source. So, you know, all this hyping I'm doing, it's way too early.
Don't worry, you did actually convince me that they could do the gauntlet with hookshot. I probably would have gone upstairs after that motivational speech. To answer the question in chat about Pedestal, I would assume that Pedestal is actually required less in Overworld glitches because there are more optional items.
Flute is pretty much useless. Alright, there's the book in Randomizer room and the lamp.
Now they need a hookshot. I can actually see Gem going upstairs here because I think he can hover.
I was told only Andy can hover.
Yeah, that's what chat would have you believe.
And chat's always truthful, right? Okay, Gem checking the Ganon's tower big chest, finds a big 20, and he's gonna head into Bob's chest and Ice Armos and melt some Armos Knights with silver arrows. Unfortunately, ChristosOwen is got a much tougher fight on his hands.
I could see Christos use his blue potion here just to get sword beams, which is actually a fairly easy Ice Armos fight.
And to your point, that is exactly what he's going to do. Blink and you miss it. Swing and a miss. And Gem has Ice Armos down. And there's the Canis Samaria. So
typical.
So now right side, if Gem can do that bomb jump, he can check right side as well.
I think he's going for it, because otherwise he would have just saved and quit there. Brace yourself, Shams. This is going to be a rare treat.
Yes. We'll have to remember to ask Christos how it felt doing Ice Armos and then finding that the bow was just right outside the door.
Ironically, Samaria is also one of those things that makes Ice Armos fairly convenient. Just locked out of reach there.
Now we should point out that both The lamp and Canis Samaria being where they are both locked by the hook shot.
That's a whole lot of information, too.
And Gem deciding to say that's enough. He checked the tile room and noped out from there. Not gonna keep going on.
It's a shame. It's a really, really nice trick when you can pull it off, but I can see why you would try to avoid it. You have to bomb jump off of a conveyor belt while there's a Wallmaster in the room. Looks like Gem wanted to do the ether tablet and then accidentally spin speeded off the cliff. Christos is going for it. So you have to set your respawn point after falling into the pit to that upper room. And you have to prepare this room because the timing is really, really tight.
Yeah, because the bomb jump is for the torch on the right. And then once you get that torch lit and you fall off and reset the room, you then have to hurry and get the other 3 lit. So here we go.
Like a professional.
Done. It's almost like ChristosOwen works on this game or something.
Yeah. Beautifully done.
First try, perfect, very nice ChristosOwen. All right, let's see if it was worth anything. Quake is in the first chest in Skullwoods. Fisher Price my first shield, $20. 5 bomb upgrade, and Bombos medallion.
That's starting to put Turtle Rock into logic.
Now you can clip into Turtle Rock and start from the big chest room. The only reason why that Bombos medallion would be beneficial is if you need it, if the key layout is such that you have to open the Turtle Rock door to check the top of Turtle Rock.
So you're never forced to open the front door. You can always steal the pokey key and get yourself to the front, and then go back, but the routing is a little bit slow for that. However, the logic only considers you able to... Oh, he saw the bow and he's not very happy about it.
No.
So the key layout has to be very specific for the logic to never want you to open that front door.
All right. Now Christos is finally gonna pick up that bow.
Interesting that he's opting to go clip from the right side. And also, I don't think any of those 2 positions work. Maybe the third bomb does. No. He has to go from the very left or the very right. So when you're teleporting to... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there. I just... we found the hook shot. It was the first chest in Thieves Town.
So Gem is now back in logic then. Yeah, so as I was saying, if you try to teleport directly on top of the cliff, you'll usually get thrown off, which is why often you'll see the racers teleport around the third bomb to actually put them on the cliff side so that they can, after that, jump on top of it. And yes, with that hook shot in Thief's Town, Gem would be entirely back in logic, right?
I believe so.
Christos performing the same East F mountain clip in the Dark World.
Alright, Christos is gonna check Super Bunny Cave. We'll see if, got the attic, the Gem's checking, compass is there. Realistically, this opens up a lot with having the hook shot, because Pod Eastern are both full clearable. You can do Hookshot Cave. Turtle Rock is available, and it looks like Christos is going to at least open up Turtle Rock. I wonder if we'll actually go inside.
I think at this point, checking the first chest would be beneficial, because then when you go back from the middle, and you already have what is probably a small key, or maybe hopefully the big key, you'll have a much better start.
And without having a power glove, Gem is having to take the long way to get to the Maiden in Thieves Town.
It looks like the small key is locked into the big chest, though.
And unfortunately, getting red mail well, spikes do the same amount of damage, but Christos decides to walk out as opposed to trying to set up any kind of death warp.
It's honestly just the same amount of frames to get killed from 10 health by spikes as to just walk out. Now, he performed a Catfish DMD. Catfish, not a very scary place in OWG.
But still just as useless most of the time, with only giving us 20 bucks. And Gem has Blind Down for another 20 bucks, and the first crystal of the game 32 minutes in.
It looks like Christos is going for a clip to Palace of Darkness from this pit. He is doing it from the correct bump, so we should see him, yep, end up right next to Palace of Darkness. So he just has to go slightly back to pick up Kiki.
And for an extortion price of 110 rupees, that monkey can open up a palace with a bunch of monkeys at the front.
And it was bow locked.
It was bow locked. Chad also pointing out, and this is where me, honestly, having not even seen Overworld glitches until 2 weeks ago, my big fat mouth gets me in trouble again. Brahmin Meat pointing out that if ChristosOwen had death warped, I think it's Ether to get into Mire, he would have been in the fake Dark World when he came out of Turtle Rock.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I run this stuff and I still didn't think about it. But yes, that's absolutely true. If you die in a Dark World dungeon without Aga1 dead, in Major Glitches modes, you get the vanilla behavior of being put into fake Dark World. So you're still in Dark World, until you transition off of the overworld screen, which means Christos couldn't have done all of this stuff, because as soon as he descends from Death Mountain, he's in light mode.
Also, I missed it. It was actually Quake that was needed to get into Mire, so Gem is gonna go ahead and go into Misery Mire from here.
Where did Gem pick up that Quake medallion?
Skullwoods.
Oh, right, yes.
Christos setting up a hammer yump. Very nicely done.
This is going to be very interesting because Christos probably wants to avoid Skullwoods until he has the Fire Rod. Skullwoods is a crystal, he wants to be able to clear it in one go. But if Fire Rod turns out to be in Misery Mire, very well could be. Well, Gem's got a not too minor advantage.
And we got a Power Glove in the Dark Maze of Pod.
Christos finally has conventional means of Dark World access in the Dark World mainland.
So pretty much, we had a question in chat of, does Overworld glitches use the same randomizer logic? No, because with the access to different glitches, that's, for a perfect example, Ganon's Tower had the Cane of Samaria behind Ice Armos, and with Misery Mire being a crystal, under normal circumstances, that would not be possible in the NMG randomizer logic. With being Overworld glitches, we can totally put that Cane of Samaria in Ganon's Tower.
Chat pointing out gloves not always required. So in Overworld glitches, the only dungeon we really need gloves for is Ice Palace. And since that's a pendant, as far as we know, this could be a gloves optional seed, as long as they have an alternative way into Ice Palace, such as a mirror wrap or a YBA off of a normal wrap.
Well, that's just for getting into Ice Palace with the Titan's Mitts. You still need a Power Glove to check 2 of the item locations and also beat Cold Stare.
But it also could be that one of the locations that are hard-locked with gloves, such as Checkerboard Cave, that comes into mind, Back of Escape if there's no key available and you didn't decide to steal it, these locations could have progression, so it's still possible that the gloves would be required. Mitts, however, if mirror is available, never required.
Alright, Helmet Star down for Christos. Alright. Powder off a Helmisar, small key in the big chest in Mire. Question from LT Gray 6. So do you still have to get all the crystals for Overworld glitches? Yes. It is possible that you can beat Aga 2 without getting all 7 crystals first. The thing is, the way the randomizer is set up, if you get to phase 4 of Ganon without having the goal completed, which would be the 7 crystals, he will be invincible and you cannot finish the game. You would have to get the 7 crystals in order to make Ganon be vulnerable for phase 4.
You have no real way to get around the Ganon invulnerability unless you're playing a mode that allows underworld glitches.
And at that point, you basically just beat the game in like 2 minutes flat.
It's without exploration glitch, you can actually delete Ganon. And then you drop into the pyramid, hold your sword up, and the Triforce room opens.
Alright, Christos gonna check Hype Cave for us. 20 bucks. Our container. 5-arrow upgrade. 300 bucks. Blech.
Not the hypest of Hype Caves.
Alright. Gem is heading into the eyeball shooting gallery. Blink and you'll miss it. The eyeballs will be gone.
Was that the blue cane? I blinked and I missed it.
See, that's why you don't blink. You miss important things like the cane of Brian.
I tried not to miss the part where he shot the eyeballs.
Okay. I need to be more specific next time.
Oh, I didn't even mention, when earlier on Gem clipped into the Mire area, you could have noticed that the screen is flashing, and I think we're about to see it on Christos' side. Yep. So when you are not entering the Dark World in the Mire area, the game has no idea how to render rain. So it's just going to cause annoying flashing on your screen.
And instead of going to Mire, Christos is actually clipping up to Thieves Town.
Yep, that's a good way around it, although he didn't manage to get the text box yet.
And Gem is gonna head over to Hype Cave and probably go back where we've seen Christos in Palace of Darkness. Which, when runners are going back over locations we've seen, this is usually a perfect time to remind y'all that please be sure to give ChristosOwen and Gem a follow in chat. They are putting on quite an entertaining show for us, and they deserve your follows here on Twitch.
That's very true. It's probably going to be a good 10 to 15 minutes of these races cleaning out what the other one has already done. Which begs the question, where's the fire rod? Where's the mirror? Where's your required tools to get into the back of Skull Woods and Swamp Palace?
Alright, well let's whittle some things down. We've still got Eastern Palace, which can be full cleared. We found both items in desert, so that's done. Swamp you can't get in because you need the mirror. We've seen all we can see in Skullwoods without the fire rod. So,
Ice Palace is currently not in logic at all. Maya's been cleaned up, so it's sort of Turtle Rock, Upper Ganon's Tower, or Eastern Palace then.
Hookshot Cave could also have something.
That is true. I also think we haven't seen a Graveyard Ledge clip, or a King's Tomb dash.
Or, well, King's Tomb logically you can't get to right now without the mirror or the Titan's Mitts. But there is a way, you can clip to it. If you essentially land on, I believe it's if you land on the bush next to one of those black rocks, doesn't it act as, it doesn't get into some weird state where you're able to lift that black rock even if you just have the power glove?
You have two options there. You can either do a spin, and that clears the bush and allows you to pass, or if you are standing on something that you can pick up, then the game checks, oh hey, you can pick up the thing that you're standing on, so you can pick up literally anything else on neighboring tiles. So even without the gloves, if you're standing on top of a bush, then you can pick up a dark rock from the adjacent tile.
again, having not run this myself at all, I'm still learning so many different things about how these type of seeds have their different means of getting everything.
As you allow more and more major glitches, the game becomes more of a puzzle, unless you allow EG, in which case there's like no puzzle to solve at all. But there's a lot of alternative ways to get to various places.
But to the earlier point about where progression is, I would certainly, at this point, having the hook shot, I would at least head for Hookshot Cave and probably clip into Turtle Rock in the back.
Yep, it's a good option. Another option that Gem could consider, although it's slightly slow, is after killing Helmer, you could just die in Palace Darkness into the fake Dark Lord. Then you run out of the hellish maze that you usually have to go through, transition south, and now you're in the Light World, and then you can just go straight back up to Eastern Palace. It's a ghetto way of achieving a mirror effect.
Alright, so Christos nopes after chess game.
That's a problem for him, because he's not going to get Quake from Skullwoods right now, although there was nothing really of value in Mystery Maya, so it's not all that bad.
Now, it may even work out to his advantage if Christos waits. If Christos waits, he could potentially just go mode Meyer at that point, which I was gonna say we should also point out that we need both Fire and Ice Rod. We need the mirror. I think that's it. We are going to see Hookshot Cave from ChristosOwen.
It makes sense that he didn't clear this earlier. It's usually not worth going through the effort to get to the back of this if you don't have gloves just for that single chest. It's also not in logic that one chest without gloves, so you probably just don't want to go through it.
Christos is going to go ahead and head into Turtle Rock.
Now, he did not pick up a key from the front, so if this lava chest or the chain chomp chest don't contain a small key, that means one of them is a big key, but then you could have no small key going forward. No, you can't. Alright, well, in that case, T-Rock is open. If the bottom left chest isn't a key, T-Rock is open.
All right, vanilla big key. All right, so with that means that, well, actually, never mind. I'm thinking NMG logic. I'm not thinking Overworld glitches logic. I was about to say, well, that means that there's 2 small keys in the fire rod room, and that's not the case, because there's one right there.
There could be, I mean, there could still be the 2 keys there, but there had to be 2 keys there if that wasn't a key, I think.
And you have Hobo has Firemaker.
Oh, wow. That is huge for Gem, and I don't know when Christos will go back to check that. Currently, that location is isolated for him.
This is a question I would probably ask Jem when we get to, if we get to get him for an interview, but I have to imagine that was Jem probably going for Eastern Palace and checking Hobo. So I would say Christos probably, depending on if he finds the mirror, he may route going to Eastern Palace. Speaking of,
so both of them have a pretty huge item that the other one does not have. Jem is about to get his mirror as soon as he stops getting trolled by dead rocks.
and as you saw, because Christos was in the fake Dark World, he had to mirror Bonk to get back to the actual Light World in order to check Mimic Cave, which has the Ether Medallion.
Oh, that's useless. So, as your earlier point that Jem could have been heading for Eastern Palace, while that's true, if you opt to go check Hobo, you're actually going to get to Eastern Palace much faster if you just save and quit right after. So, I don't think it necessarily tied in, and he did check Ether Tablet right after. So, I'm thinking he's just going for close and quick checks. Well, he was. Now that he has a Fire Rod, he has more of a purpose.
And Christos, with having 16 hearts, is just going to brute force his way through Spike Cave and get another blue potion.
Christos, please no, that's a fake flute. People don't respect YBAs these days. He is keeping his camera wrapped, and he is going for Pyramid Fairy, so his actual global location is actually much lower than his camera would imply, because he wrapped. He went back locally to the top of Death Mountain, but he is actually in the Hyrule Castle courtyard, so that's where he places his Dark World portal when he mirrors there. Now, all he has to do is go back and pick it up while facing up, and he'll clip right through the Pyramid Fairy entrance that is still closed. And I think he placed his portal a little bit too high, so he will have to exit multiple times in order to actually wind up on the pyramid.
He's gonna go ahead and check Uncle's tunnel first. Jem is gonna get the red mail, and then with him having the Fire Rod from Hobo, we're gonna see what two items are, what, if anything, is in the Fire Rod locked portion. Well, he got it on the first go. Peace of Heart and red shield.
It's not getting in that's difficult, it's getting out.
Ah, sorry, I missed it there.
So if you place your portal just too high, then you'll still go inside, but you'll be far behind the wall, and every time you walk out, you actually end up a few pixels lower than you walked in from. But if that's still not low enough to push you out of the doorway just sucks you back in. Looks like Christos is headed back to Ganon's Tower. Since he opted not No, he did. He was the one that opted to do the right side. So this has to be a gauntlet clear. He is going to place himself on top of the pyramid by beating Aga 2 and open the Ganon hole in the process.
Yep, he won't need the fire rod to do right side since he did the bomb jump method. So to your point, he's running the gauntlet. Alright, so we still need to find Ice Rod. And that's go mode.
Or, at the very least, no mode.
True, true.
Gem is about to pick up his own mirror from Blaze Bridge. And he knows that the last chest has to be a small key there, so he's just going to mirror out. In the meantime, Christos working his way through that gauntlet pretty quickly.
Alright,
Very nice.
Swing and a miss on one of the Lambos, but gets Lambo 2 done.
Very nice 2-cycle. Honestly, no shame in that. Hitting the 3 arrows on the first try is not the most fun thing to do.
And with Gem having that fire rod, he is going to head into do right side and probably run the gauntlet as well. But since the key layout was such that he could do all of Turtle Rock, he will excuse me, he'll find the Bombos medallion, but it won't be as exciting as for him as it was for Christos.
The only reason it could be exciting for Christos is that if the Ice Rod actually ends up in Ice Battle, specifically on Cold Stare, although I guess in this mode you can't really skip fire sources for the other chests.
Nope.
That's a key upstairs and bacon.
Alright, Troll Arm 2. Down he goes.
And if you were blinking there, I'm sorry. There was actually a boss fight going on.
Don't worry, we got another one coming up shortly after this. Alright, time to begin the geometry wars. Nice triple. Only gets a single there.
Although with those blue balls, he couldn't ever finish in that phase.
That's 5. And down goes Zaga 2.
So, well, bacon is nice. There wasn't a whole lot of progress in Ganon's Town. Or at least on the upper parts. bombs on the pyramid, Christos will skip that. Oh, with the mirror, he could just go to Hobo from here. Does he remember? Oh no! He could have gotten the fire rod there real quick.
Looks like he'll be heading for Swamp Palace instead.
I mean, it's not all that bad. We do not know where the ice rod is, but if it turns out to be, say, the very first chest in Swamp Palace, he could be skipping a whole lot in here.
Yeah, at this point, Gem has a little bit of an advantage in that he's got Mire completed and has already been to Skullwoods to get the Quake Medallion to get into Mire, and has the Fire Rod. So it's really gonna just come down to where is this Ice Rod, and when does ChristosOwen go back to Hobo to get the Fire Rod?
Oh yeah, and...
But... There's the Ice Rod.
There is the Ice Rod. Wow. Okay, so I was wrong in terms of what items Christos needs. Obviously, there is the Quake Medallion. So even if he got his Fire Rod, he'd be clearing Swamp from here. But that is really bad for him, because now he's clearing it, and as soon as Gem decides to dip into Swamp, he'll be in go mode.
And at that point, it'll be go mode Swamp versus a full clear Swamp. Go mode Eastern is pretty much just dependent on where the big key is. And then Skullwoods and Trinex. So yeah, I mean, if at this point, I feel comfortable saying this is in a lot of ways Gem's race to lose, depending on when Gem goes to Swamp. He'll probably, I wouldn't be surprised if Gem, well, I won't say anything stupid since I do that quite a bit.
I think it makes sense that Gem would go to Eastern before Swamp. As you said, depending on big key placement, but that means that there's a decent chance that you have to open Eastern Palace all the way to the back. So why not just go there and maybe pick up an Ice Rod on the way and fully go with your Swamp.
Alright, so Gem checks Pyramid Ledge. I think we're about to see where Gem goes. He's heading east.
Then.
Yeah, he's heading for Eastern Palace.
So if the big key is in the very first chest of Eastern, that is potentially good for Christos, as long as he would decide to go Hobo and Skullwoods, which is like a relatively hard thing to think he would do at this point. He did pick up the mids in Swamp Palace, which are completely not required in this seed. There was nothing even out of logic that we did that would require mids.
And probably it could potentially move him further away from going to Hobo, because you've got the Smith chain now is accessible.
I think Christos knows he can clear Eastern right now, so if he would head there, maybe he would remember, alright, well, I'll just do Hobo on the way, like we theorized that Gem did, right? So it's not necessarily that bad.
Well, Christos pulls that mirror out. So he's probably going to mirror as soon as he gets out of Swamp Palace.
Oh no. Christos, please do not go to Ice Palace.
Oh, he still has to do left side. Duh. He's getting the mirror out for when he's gonna do left side, and then once he's done, mirror from there.
But then, why does he not pull out the hook shot, which he will need way before he needs the mirror? The Vicky is... oh.
That's why. He was still missing the map, and my guess is mate. Well, he's gonna just gamble that there's nothing on left side.
I'm honestly a bit confused right now, but let's go with that.
Adding it to the list of things I would like to ask ChristosOwen if we get him in for an interview. Alright, heart container number 18 for Christos.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, they've pretty much collected all the hearts. I think they have all the containers now and are just missing pieces.
Alright, Christos heads north.
He could still mirror to Hobo on his way to Eastern Palace.
But he's not. Nope, there you go. Now he's gonna get the fire rod.
Oh, thank God. We're back on track.
Oh, you know what? Again, me being an idiot. He did it that way so that he has the portal so he can get to Eastern Palace from here.
Yep, this is one of the very convenient ways you can check Hobo even in no Mage Glitches modes.
Alright, Armos Knight's down. Third shield upgrade there. So that will be Riot Shield for Christos.
So, Christos didn't lose too much time on Swamp Palace. His redip may cost him some time, but otherwise he pretty much threaded the go mode route. So all he really needs to do after this is go to Skullwoods, which he'll most likely do, given that he just got that fire rod, and yeah, from there it's just straight up clean up everything.
Yeah, he's gonna do Eastern. You gotta think Skullwoods is up after that. He'll get the Quake. That will put him into go mode. So now that Christos has corrected his, the one missing piece of his puzzle, now it really just comes down to when does Gem go to Swamp Palace?
It looks like... Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, which you would think Gem's on his way to Skullwoods right now, most likely. And then it's a matter of, does he decide to do Swamp after that?
Does look like he's trying to avoid Swamp for now.
He's doing Magic Bat.
So, here's the thing, right? We know that Gem has no items left in T-Rock or Skullwoods that he can collect. I think we saw both items out of Skullwoods. T-Rock, if it has an item, it's on Prinex. So, given that, at the moment he just clicks into, alright, well, I'll go clear whatever I can, he'll be in go mode.
Okay, vanilla half magic at Magic Bat. Does Christos think he's in go mode? He got the big key and just completely went straight for Armos Knights. Didn't even bother with the compass chest.
He may not have seen the Maya medallion. And given that, he's gambling that he has the 2 and 3.
Unfortunately, we know he doesn't.
Chat is saying if he goes to Skullwoods before Maya, it will pay off for him. But will it? Because you don't need to do the front of Skullwoods if you're in Go mode. So that means...
he may skip Quake.
Yep. And then he's going to have a really, really, really bad time with Misery Maya.
Alright, but instead, I have to imagine this is heading to Turtle Rock and gonna finish off Trinex.
Yep, he has that mirror, so he's most likely just going to set up a mirror wrap and go in through Laser Bridge. And if he has the guts to do so, right after finishing T-Rock, since he opened the front door, he can just walk up the Mountain Turtle. He could map wrap over to Skull Woods. Now, it is a risky deal. If you ever move right after said map wrap, you will hardlock and lose your Trinex skill. And he's also not using a bomb to put himself on the transition. So he's getting a little bit of trouble with the map wrap here. Mirror wrap, not map wrap. Not yet.
He's got the mirror wrap there.
Here he goes. Now he just enters through the laser bridge. And he has to bomb the wall that he's standing on because it's not open.
And Gem kills the big moth. And that's crystal number 5 for Gem.
I think at this point we can almost certainly say that Christos feels like he's in go mode because he is going to skip the first 2 chests that he didn't have the fire rod for, and this might come back to haunt him.
Alright, Gem is checking the pedestal. We know nothing of value can be on there. Especially since it's just couch cash. Now... I'm just taking a wild stab. What if Christos decides to go to Meyer next? Finds out it's Quake, and then manages to go to Skullwoods right after that?
I think he would go to Skullwoods right after that. He's also going to beat himself up over Eastern Palace after that. It looks like he is not going for the map wrap, so you could be right here.
He's thinking about what he wants to do. He starts in Link's house. Gem is going into Swamp House, so he will be hitting go mode once he picks up that ice rock. And was going for the whirlpool, but then decides to go ahead and go in the portal. Wait, because doesn't that whirlpool go to the same place in both Light and Dark World? Or there's no whirlpool there, so once again, the idiot speaks.
So that whirlpool goes near the witch's hut, and I have no idea what Christos was planned to do with that.
Alright, but my inane thoughts aside, 1 hour, 14 minutes, 15 seconds, Gem is in go mode. And Christos is heading for Meyer. He's about to get a rude awakening.
And depending on Christos' decisions right after this, this could be a very, very, very close game. Now, chat is saying gems race to Roost, but remember, the only other crystal dungeon that Christos could do right now is Skull Woods, and that's precisely where his Maya medallion is. So as long as he goes straight there and clears up the front, well, he will be put into go mode as well. Now, he's pulling out the hammer, which is weird to me, which means he's probably going for the bat, because he has the mitts, he knows he could enter the Dark Road. Okay, never mind.
Probably a habit. Could be a habit thing, could be nerves, could be a whole bunch of things. But Christos is heading to Skullwoods. So does he get the quake? We know it's here.
Alright.
He falls down the hole, he's gonna get it.
We are going to have a very close race here.
And I have to say, ChristosOwen is a very lucky duck because 1 hour, 16 minutes, 8 seconds, ChristosOwen is in go mode.
Chat is saying the Maya big key was in the center room upstairs, so that's probably going to be chest number 3 or 4 that Christos will check in there. At this point, both of these runners have done Aga 2. They're both sitting on 5 crystals. Gem about to pick up his 6th. And then all he has to do is go clear Turtle Rock, and from there go to the pyramid, jump into the hole, and kill the pig. Meanwhile, Christos has to clear the back of Skullwoods, and then after that, go mode Maya.
Alright, while we have a moment, let's remind everyone that this is race number 1 of a 3-race set for the semifinals. Race number 2 will be later this afternoon at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and if race 3 is needed, it will be tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern Time, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Alright, Mothula down for Christos.
Meanwhile, Gem setting up himself up to mirror wrap to Trinex. He gets this very nice setup where he presses up at the right time, and that allows him to just hop left into a position where he can mirror wrap from, but unfortunately he loses it because he transitions without mirroring.
Missed it again. Now he's gonna bomb himself into the transition. Alright, Gem is in. Gem is in.
If Christos still has that blue potion, he could have just fake fluted from anywhere to 6, and he could have entered the Dark World by lifting Dark Rock. A fairly normal way to enter the Dark World in the Maya area.
Yeah, I gotta say at this point, I think Gem's still in the lead.
Definitely feels like it.
Alright, Gem is into phase 2 of Trinex, and down he goes. Alright, there are 22 locations where the Ganon's Tower Big Key can be in the basement of Ganon's Tower. Good thing we already found it in the first chest and we already beat Agatu, so Gem is on his way to the Big Pig.
Now is the point where you get your correct guess in, which was 1. Congratulations to Fonzo88, the first person to guess 1.
Alright. Ooh. Alright. Gem is into Ganon. Ooh, nice setup there. And is into phase 2. And you're gonna have to do 2 cycles of phase 2, but again, nice setup. He'll be able to get through to phase 3, no problem. Drinks a blue potion for safety, and we're into phase 3. Christos finds the big key, but unfortunately, I don't think he's gonna, unless Gem has a terrible time here, I think Gem's gonna win this first race.
If Gem dies in the 4th phase, that's actually a huge time loss because, well, in Overworld glitches, you don't respawn on the pyramid if you die to Ganon. You actually get a save and quit menu unless you beat Aga 1.
But won't matter. Gem has that Ganon down. Just gotta avoid the 3-block wide bridge, and that is game number 1 to Gem.
GG to him.
GG as Gem finishes with an official SRTV time of 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 22 seconds. Spam those GGs in chat.
Let's see if we can get him in here for an interview. Apparently, we have a long list of questions that we want to ask.
And joining us in chat is Gem, GG.
Hey, thanks.
So, how you feeling?
Oh, pretty good. Went pretty well, I'm happy.
So, the first question I would have for you is, when you ended up getting the fire rod from Hobo, were you on your way to Eastern Palace at that point?
Yeah. And honestly, I have no idea why I didn't just continue and clear Eastern while I was there. I was like, oh, fire rod, okay, I'm going. GG. And I decided to do a quick hookshot cave first and then just went into T-Rock first anyway.
I mean, it makes sense from that point because swinging back from the Hobo to Eastern Palace is almost slower than just saving quitting and restarting at your house.
Yeah. Yeah, it probably is actually just faster to save and quit than to swim out of there.
So that ended up being a pretty friendly seat for you. Moonpearl in the house, no real out-of-the-way locations that you really had to hit.
Yeah, I don't know, just handled everything nicely without having to do stupid stuff. I was really worried when when I was in go mode, except for the ice rod, because well, those seats are everywhere in Overworld glitches from my experience, and they're no fun because you can just check everything. But yeah, that turned out to be in a really friendly location as well, so it's really nothing I can complain about at all.
Yeah, ultimately it could have been a lot worse considering Swamp House also contained the myth, so if you weren't in go mode, I imagine that Ice Palace would have come up as something in the back of your mind.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's glad I avoided that, because who knows what I would have done.
So your big advantage was, well, two things. You didn't have to do weird things on Ice Armors. Christos actually ended up not checking the Spectacle Cave, the top of Spectacle Rock Cave until after Ganon's Tower. So he had to do sword beams for Ice Armors. And also, he got that fire rod late, so he opened quite a few extra chests in Swamp Palace.
Oh yeah, I imagine he had to. Did you do left side? Because it's.
So weirdly enough, he went straight to the back, and then he went back in. He opened the big chest, which contained the map, and then he decided not to go on.
We don't know yet. We haven't had a chance to talk to Christos yet, obviously, but what we suspect happened was he thought he was in go mode, but he hadn't been to Skullwoods yet to get the Quake medallion or been to Mire to see that it was Quake. So he was going as if he was in go mode, and then went to Mire and saw, oh, yeah, I kind of need that Quake. And then immediately went to Skullwoods because that was the only crystal dungeon he hadn't been to, and conveniently found the Quake.
Oh,
Yes,
I see.
It was actually a very, very worrying situation because at that point he had already picked up myths from Swamp Palace. He hadn't cleared the left side of it. So if he doesn't go straight to Skullwoods and get his crystal, or if Quake is elsewhere, well, he was in big trouble.
Yeah. That would have sucked for him. And in retrospect, I'm really happy that I just did one giant loop without skipping anything around the overworld, because well, I just handed out everything I needed, basically. Like I got Quake and Swamp and then Skullwoods. And I could just do Mire on the way because that's what it needed. And by the time I was done with the loop, I had 3 more crystals, so it was really nice.
For the first 20 minutes, the two of you actually were doing essentially the same thing. And after that, you hit up the Dark World from the Skullwood side, whereas Christos hit it up from Pod side. Honestly, both of them really good decisions because you'll just wind up looping around. But he did not go into the front of Skullwoods, and that was a pretty big deal for him.
Yeah, I kind of thought about hitting up Darkwood from Pod side as well. To like go DMD at Catfish and just clear everything that way. That was before GT, but then I had flashbacks from that one race against TGH where I did Pod without lamp or fire rod or any medallion and died in there in the turtle room. So I decided otherwise and did GT first, and well, that gave me lamp, but at that point I didn't want to go all the way back to Turtle Rock, so I just did the loop from Skullwoods.
Oh yeah, dark basement can be brutal if you cannot see the turtles.
Yeah. I have bad memories.
In the meantime, Christos is on to phase 4 of Ganon.
Yeah, he tried to set up a triple, but only got one. Oh, had a triple, but only got 2 in. But that will do it. I guess Christos forgot to raise his sword. Why Christos forgot to raise his sword? I have no idea. Because again, we're still finding things out about this game 30 years in. Nevertheless, ChristosOwen does finish with an official SRTV time of 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 53 seconds. Get those GGs in for Christos as well.
GG to him as well. We will see if we can get him in.
And joining us in chat is ChristosOwen. GG.
Yo, jeez. Good game, Jim.
GG.
All right, so we were talking with Jem while a fascinating thing was happening. I had noticed that you were low on arrows, and you had it. Jem got a 20 rupee tree pull, I think, because he took damage. Christos, you saw that it was arrows from the start of the race. So to recap, you went to Uncle's Tunnel to get the arrow pull, tree pull, and then apparently realized you could have done it at the pyramid as well.
Yeah, I thought I was being pretty clever, restocking my areas at Uncle, and then was like, oh wait, I could have just used the pyramid pull.
You were really clever because it's slower to reset the pyramid pull.
Oh, that's true.
So, couple questions for you, Christos. First off, describe your feelings where you go through Ganon's tower and have to use a sword beam ice armos strat to get rid of him, and then you find Spectacle Rock was holding the bow the entire time.
That wasn't too bad of a time loss. I had a blue potion to get sword beams, and I don't know, what, like 30 seconds compared to Silver's, maybe, or something. So it's not actually that too bad of a time loss. If I didn't have full HP, I would have had Boomerang, Master Sword, or Hammer, all of which are super slow.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I genuinely just forgot about Spectacle Rock because I got the Hammer before going up Death Mountain. After I beat Hera, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to use the Hammer pegs. And I just I wasn't even thinking about it. I was I didn't intend to check Spectacle Rock. I just happened to dash past it on my way to the warp point and saw the bow there. And then I was like, wait, I forgot to check that and Spectacle Rock cave inside. Let's see what it is. So.
But to put it into perspective, one moment, sorry. To put it into perspective, it's not the only component of that time loss. You also use that blue potion, and at the very end you decided to respawn at Link's house, enter the Darkhold, and then clip into the Mire area, but you had mitts, so if you still had that blue potion, all you had to do was put yourself in the transition, fake flute to 6, and enter the Darkhold just south of Mire.
Yeah, that's very true. I started swimming towards the whirlpool to get to Potion Shop to get a blue potion to YBA for that exact reason, but then I was like, it's probably faster just to dash and clip.
Yeah, we saw you going for the whirlpool, and I couldn't remember where that whirlpool went. The other interesting thing that we wanted, well, there's actually two, but the one that very ironically, as we're watching, worked out in your favor in some ways, was you finished Argus, went back into Swamp, opened the big chest to see the map, and then decided to nope out. Did you think you were in go mode at that point?
No. I was still missing Fire Rod. at that point. So I knew I wasn't in go mode. As I was going back through Swamp, I started thinking about possible locations for where Fire Rod could be and where it couldn't be. And then I suddenly realized that Fire Rod couldn't be mirror locked because Mirror was deep in Turtle Rock, which required the Fire Rod to get the keys. So based on Turtle Rock key distributions, Fire Rod was required for Mirror. So I knew Fire Rod wasn't in Swamp. And therefore I knew it also wasn't Mitts locked, with Mitts being in Swamp. So it instantly narrowed down the locations of where Fire Rod could be for me to things that didn't require Mirror or Mitts.
Okay, and so then to continue the line of thought, though, because then after that, you went to Hobo, got the Fire Rod, and then it still felt like you were in go mode, because you basically, once you found the big key, you went straight for Armos Knights.
I had 2 medallions. I figured my odds were good, and they were not good.
Ironically, though, you went right to where we knew the Quake Medallion was the whole time.
Because I found Fire Rod so late, I'd never obviously been to Skullwoods. And then I just was like, okay, let's go mode Eastern. Let's finish up Turtle Rock. Let's go and do Maya. So when I finished Skullwoods, I could get to... Well, actually, I don't know if it would have been quicker to go from Maya or Skullwoods to get to Ganon at the end. Probably wouldn't have made too much difference. Both would have been a safe quit. And then when I saw that it was Quake, I was like, okay, well, that can be back in Swamp. That could be in Eastern. That could be in Ice, etc. I was like, well, I may as well go do Skullwoods anyway because I can beat it now. And then it was there. I was like, okay, I just got bailed out.
Yeah. So...
It would have been quicker to go from Skullwoods. You have the ability to do a screen wrap into the river from the screen south of Bumpy Cave. And then in a screen wrap state, you can actually cross over to the Ganon Hole. And while wrapped, you can actually jump into it.
Oh, that is awesome. That's far beyond my capabilities for glitching. Okay, that would never have occurred to me. In general, I don't use mini clips. I just hope I get Hammer and Glove early and use all the warps.
I was kind of hoping this seed would be gloveless, with IP being a pendant.
It was gloveless for quite a while.
Yeah.
I forget what the first ones were.
I think in Pod. That's
they were in
that's
Pod.
why I got disappointed that there was one.
They never ended up being required, did they?
No, I don't think so.
One of my highlights of this was using a blue potion to get through Spike Cave to then get a blue potion from Spike Cave.
And then he used the blue potion to get out of Spike Cave.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done that before. I was like, okay, well, I was going to save and quit and then Hera clip and do GT clip. But then since I got a blue potion to get back out and I already had the screen messed up, I was like, I can just exit normally now and just continue into GT. But overall, I didn't play great, but I didn't play too terrible. At the end, my Maya was abysmal. And then when I saw Gem done, I was like, oh, thank God, I can go to the bathroom. And that's why I was on the pause menu for like a minute and a bit. I was busting for the toilet for like so long.
Hey, runners need breaks as well.
Well, that's because I didn't go to sleep until about 4:30 a.m. yesterday, so I'm pretty tired today. And I had 2 coffees before the race, so that wasn't a good idea.
Coffees? I thought you were all about the English breakfast tea.
I am. I drink coffee when I'm really struggling. Like, I really didn't want to get out of bed when my alarm went off to do this match.
I had to drag myself out of bed to get in the commentator booth, so I'm feeling you as well.
I was kind of annoyed at myself because I thought that we were starting half an hour earlier than we were, so I could have had an extra half hour sleep. I was like, oh, for God's sake, why did I not check the time last night before I slept?
Well, ChristosOwen, you guys already know that your second race is going to be at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time on this Speed Gaming 4 channel. So, I strongly recommend you go take a nap, buddy.
I've actually got to do a speed gaming qualifier in like 2 hours or something.
You know, this I try to help, and then my idiot mouth just. Without Balame, I would have been struggling this whole time.
Hey, the good news is, if I don't win the speed gaming race, then I'm eliminated from that. And then when Jem beats me later, I'm eliminated from this, so I can stop playing Randomizer.
Nope. There's still the race for rank 3 in this tourney.
If I lose, then they can have third place. I don't care.
All right. Well, I guess Christos has given his final thoughts. Jem, any final thoughts from you?
Well, I just want the ice rod to not be me next seed as well. That's all I want.
Yeah, an early ice rod would be lovely. It wasn't the last item I got, but it was near the end.
We can give you an early ice rod, but in return, the bow will be the very last item.
I'll tell you what was actually really good. You were saying how not getting bow early was a bit of a curse for me. If I'd gone into GT with the bow and then finding lamp there, I totally would have gambled just going up the top to see if hookshot was there. So it's probably good I didn't find bow before GT.
To be fair, I wasn't necessarily pointing out the bad luck. It was more the irony of that it was just sitting right there.
Yeah. Just outside. But the main reason I would have done that is because I know Jem can hover, and I was like, well, he'd probably clear GT on one trip. So I should try and, like, if he found something up there and it happened to be hookshot, I would be out the game, because unless I kind of invested time into it.
All right, well, ChristosOwen, Jem, thank you very much. You guys put on a heck of a race for all of us. Please be sure to give both ChristosOwen and Jem follows on Twitch. Balame, any final thoughts before we wrap up shop?
Nope.
Well, thank you again for co-commentating with me. As me being the idiot novice Overworld glitches guy, it was certainly a pleasure to have your expertise in the booth.
It was a pleasure to have your commentary expertise in the booth.
Thank you very much. I also do want to give a shout out to Crunchy Chocobo, our tracker. Did an excellent job keeping track of all of the items that both of our runners were following. Thanks again to all the Speed Gaming staff, and thank you for keep putting all these races on. If you feel so inclined, we would certainly appreciate any subscriptions or bit donations. Those are what keep the lights on here on the Speed Gaming network of channels. And once again, 5:30 p.m., race number 2, Speed Gaming 4 between ChristosOwen and Jem. I've been Jex Refi, and we'll see you next mission.
I've been Bunny Ame, and see you later.